Hello everybody and welcome to this video. This is a timeless video, so whenever you clicked on it, it is the right time for you to get this message. And what I want to say before we do anything else is, if you can like and subscribe if you haven't already, I would appreciate it very much. It's the only time you're going to hear that from me on this, so there you go. What I wanted to talk about today is a message that I've been getting repeatedly over and over and over in various formats. I'll hear something on a video on YouTube. I'll read something in somebody's blog. Somebody's having a conversation behind me at the grocery store. I can't even tell you how many times I've heard variations of this. And it's not even a new concept in general. It's something, the question's been raised for thousands of years. And it's this idea of what we believe to be true for ourselves may not be true for anybody else, let alone everybody else, you know? And we understand this logically. It makes sense, you know? We have our own background, how we grew up. That's individualized to us specifically. And how we processed everything from the time we were born until this moment is entirely unique to us. There is nobody else that's going to have the same thought processes. So trying to expect people to even understand what we're saying, let alone thinking, you know, and agree with it is really unacceptable. It's an outrageous expectation that will set us up for failure every single time. So what I was really impressed upon to speak to today, and I have to tell you, I've remade this video probably a dozen times this morning, so bear with me here. But this idea that between the ages of 2 and 7, we're really ingrained with our belief systems, our structures of how we process things. All of that was set up for us by other people. We didn't have anything to do with that. I didn't pick the family that I was born into. I didn't pick the father that was beating the mother. I didn't pick the parents that were, you know, chemical and alcohol dependent. I didn't pick being bullied as a child in school. I didn't pick being raped. I didn't pick being attacked. You know, all of those things. I was a very angry person for many, many years. And always understanding that somewhere in the back of that anger was this need to validate my belief, what I knew to be right for myself. I knew it wasn't right for that stuff to be happening when I was little. I knew it wasn't right when things happened to me when I was an adult. There's never been a time where I have not had a question about why somebody was doing something when it was obvious that it was not the right thing to do. But that's just because that's my brain. And that's why I look at things the way that I do, is because that whole history from the time I was born till now has happened to me personally. But that life has not happened to you. And expecting you to believe the same things that I do, it's just crazy. How many people have been hurt? How many people have died because they were not willing to admit that somebody else's opinion on something might be the right opinion for them, whether it's the right opinion for us or not? This question came up in a tarot reading that I was watching this morning on YouTube, and it's a valid question. Are you going to spend that much time and energy proving something positive, or are you going to spend that much time and energy proving something negative? Where do you want your attention to go? Where do you want your energy to go? For me, personally, I've never been happy trying to fight for what I believe in. When I stopped doing that, everything changed. When I started to realize that I was in control of what I think, what I feel, what I say, and what I do. Those 4 things are like the legs of a table, and you can't make any kind of solid structure without those 4 legs. You have to have those four legs. What I feel, what I think, what I say, what I do. Those are things that are in my control. But that's all. I have no control over what somebody else thinks, what somebody else feels, what somebody else says, or what they do. It's not my responsibility. I am responsible for what I think and feel and say and do. Absolutely. When I take control of that, when I take responsibility for that, I now have the power to create my reality. And don't laugh. I know you've heard this before, but I'm telling you, listen, this is important, and you were supposed to hear this now. What you think, what you feel, what you say, and what you do are your responsibility, and you have complete and direct control over all of it. And when you do decide, I'm not going to think that way anymore. You know what? I'm not going to feel that way anymore. When somebody says something to me that hurts my little ego, my little fragile me-go, I'm not going to get mad. I'm going to allow them their opinion. Does it change how I think about myself? Well, no. Nobody's going to change the way I feel about myself, and nobody should change the way you feel about yourself. You are God or Goddess. You are in control. You can choose to believe and feel any damn thing you want. Anything at all. You're the person that is in charge of your life. And when you make that decision, I'm not going to feel that way when somebody says something like that. I'm not going to act that way when something similar happens. When you make that decision to do it different, your life changes. That's the secret. That's the secret. Do it different. Do it different. Don't do it the same. If you always react a certain way when a certain kind of thing happens, don't. Just don't. You can choose. You can choose what you do. You can choose what you say. Take that moment. There's a moment you take a deep breath to make your retort. You take a deep breath to make your reply. You take a deep breath to take a step forward. Every time we go to do something, there's an instant where we take a breath. That's it. Stop. Right there, stop. That's where you want to be. That's your place of power. Right there in that moment. That's your moment. Right there. Now, do you want to do the same thing you've always done? Oh, no, maybe not. Okay. What do you want to do? What would be an action you would want to take? What would be a word you would want to say? What would be an emotion you would want to feel? That's your control. That's your place of power. You choose in that moment. And hey, you're not going to like hearing this, but I'm going to have to tell you the flip side is also true. If you decide not to do anything differently, if you decide not to change anything about how you feel, how you act, how you speak, how you think, if you decide to not, your world will stay the same. You will continue to encounter these things until you change. That's it. So that's your place of power right there. The ability to take that breath and decide to do something different. That's what I've got for you guys today. Thank you again so much for tuning in. I will be back with more words of wisdom as I have inspiration and as technology agrees and cooperates with me. I love you. Have a blessed rest of your day, evening. Talk to you soon.